Hi guys, today we will take a look at some of the most recent mouse pads that I've tried. We have one glass pad and then other pads from EspTiger, Vaxee and XTEN. Let's start with the glass pad lock-on gear Harut. This is Lock-on's first product release and it is a glass pad in the more balanced side of things. What they wanted to do in their first release was to offer something safe and balanced while still feeling smooth, and they have really achieved that in my opinion. Another goal for them was to make something different than what we see usually on glass pads. So instead of anime girls, we have this very cool looking atmospheric picture that draws inspiration from fantasy, and it is something that really tells a story. On the bottom right corner there is also the number you have from the 300 units that are available. So this pad is gonna be pretty limited release. The pad will be available for $99 and it comes included with the full set of X-ray pad Obsidian Air dots. So you can truly experience a proper glass pad experience from the get-go. The pad is sized for 90x420 and it measures around 4 mm in thickness with the silicone base. The base is a really nice non-textured silicone base that offers good stickiness on my desk, and it also provides some noise reduction. The surface is very smooth, and compared to my current collection of glass pads tested with the Obsidian Pro Air dots, it is the most controlled, but it still offers that good fast glass pad experience compared to some faster cloth pad offerings. Hand stickiness is also a non-issue on this one for me, although I still like to use a sleeve when using a glass pad. I'd like to offer some more accurate friction testing data, but currently I don't yet own a device that is accurate enough to really distinguish between different glass pad frictions, and I'm not really satisfied with my previous friction tests done with glass pads. So you just have to take my word this time. Also, I don't really think the friction force difference of 0.1 newtons is something that really matters in use, and you pretty much can adapt between different glass pads quite quickly. What matters to me more in glass pads is the surface texture feeling and how it behaves under those sticky hand situations, and they really have those things sorted out. It is smooth and balanced and fairly non-stick. So if you are someone who has been looking for something different than anime girls for your glass pads, keep this one on your radar. While that pad was a very anti-gooner, we have something for the gooners out there as well, and this is the EspTiger Tang Dao Pioneer. How it differs from the older Tang Dao models is the base, and the printing method used to produce this graphic is very interesting in a sense. It doesn't seem to affect the surface feel at all. All the lines in the graphic are very sharp and all the colors blend in really well, and it is almost like I'm watching a magazine cover. The anime girl aside, I'm really looking forward to them to produce more models of this pad with other pictures that don't make our HR department contact me if anyone sees me using this pad in a Teams meeting during work. The base is this really nice polyurethane foam that has a very nice rebound properties while being in the extra soft category. It is one of the stickiest bases on my desk while not being a dust and hair magnet. Stitching is also done very nicely. It is a tight low profile stitching. The size is 480x400 and the fabric is the regular Tang Dao fabric that offers a fairly similar glide to the Artisan Zero while not being a pet hair magnet. For $35, this is a great fast control pad that I need to hide now before my girlfriend comes home. Then we have some very interesting stuff from Vaxee, and it is their new PD mousepad. I have been waiting to do a review on this at the same time as their E1 mousepad. It has been stuck in customs for many weeks now, so I decided to talk about it here instead. PD is something that really took me by surprise, and it combines their standard cloth surface used in the PA, PB and PE pads with a base that is essentially a thick slab of silicone. The pad measures 480x400 in size and it is very thick at around 5 mm. For the edges, they are using the same principles as on their new PC pad, and they they are these very rounded, very nice edges that offer you the same comfort as with edge stitching. The base is very firm and it is super sticky on my desk, and the whole pad weighs almost a kilogram, so it is a hefty boy. With this release they wanted to offer something for those who require more stability and those who don't want their skates to sink in at all to their pads, and they have really achieved that with this one. Compared to other Vaxee pads using the same surface, the pad feels a bit faster due to this harder base, and you can pretty much use this with dots or full-size skates and have that same stable performance. If you are not familiar with Vaxee's cloth pads, the surface is very smooth cloth that offers a fairly balanced glide. It is not a super slow contra pad, but it has a slightly higher static friction than something more textured like Artisan Zero. The dynamic friction is then pretty quick, especially on the PD, and you notice the speed jump transitioning from a complete standstill to a full swipe. I don't know the pricing of this one, but if you're someone who has been wondering how would a freefall type of base with a smooth control surface feel like, or you have a Vaxee cloth pad but don't really like the sharp edges or your skates sinking into the pad, this could be the pad for you. Then lastly, I have some Japanese goodness for you sent by Max Gaming. So these are none other than a stack of XTEN pads, and we'll just go over them one by one. To start off, as you can see, most of these pads are very small, which for my sensitivity made them quite unusable, but I gave them all a fair shot in Apex and in aim training. The first one of the stack is their balance pad that consists of this fiberglass fabric surface, a quite dense and thin middle layer, and their bottom sheet that is thin but a very grippy rubber stuff. For me, this pad doesn't really offer that balance they have named it after, and it has just an insane amount of static friction and dynamic friction. It is just a weird pad with a weird surface that I don't think suits FPS gamers a lot, and it is the most expensive out of these, which is kinda odd. Maybe this is a good pad for MOBA players that have an insanely high sensitivity, but it is definitely not the pad for me. Then we have here the XTEN Speed hard pad that consists of a sheet of hard plastic on top, a thicker sheet of foam in the middle, and the same thin rubber layer on the bottom. This pad is also quite unusably small for me, and the design choice of having a soft foam with a hard top is just quite odd as well. The surface is a textured plastic that can offer you a good stoppage, but with a heavier hand it also has a very noticeable static friction. It is another pad that may be good for high sense MOBA players, but something I would not recommend for FPS players at all. Then lastly we have essentially two sizes of their control cloth pad, and from these the medium-sized one is actually something that I really like. It is sized properly with a 460 x 400 millimeters, and it measures 3 millimeters in thickness. Of course, I would like to have it as an even larger size, but I haven't really felt let down by the size at all, to my surprise. The cloth top on top offers pretty similar glide properties than Artisan Zero, but without any pet hair issues, and the humidity resistance seems to be very nice on it as well. It has some amount of texture on it that, at least for me, seems to help with pinpointing targets. It is just a very consistent, fast control pad that can be almost considered a balance pad that I seem to perform really well on. At first, when I got this, I was not really impressed, but the more I use this thing, it seems to be a really great performing pad, even with dot skates. The middle sole offers a soft cushioning with a good rebound properties, and the base sheet of thin rubber offers a very good grip on my desk. The edges, as you can see, are not stitched, but because of the 3 millimeters thickness, it hasn't really been an issue for me, and I don't really notice the edges at all while in use. So I have really become a believer in XTEN control supremacy now that I've used it for a while. There is still one thing that makes me not recommend this so much, and that is the price of 100 euros, which is not Max Gaming's fault. These pads are just that expensive since they are made in Japan in small batches, and the company wants to pay their employees well. So yeah, I can't really criticize them for that, but for the end user it is a lot of money, especially for a pad without edge stitching. But if you have the cash to spare and are really heavily into high quality peripherals, it is a really good mousepad that I seem to perform really well on. I don't necessarily feel like it's worth 100 euros, but it is a good pad. But I think that covers all the pads I have been testing recently. Let me know in the comments what pads you would like me to check out next, and I will try my best to cover them in the future. So thanks for watching and goodbye.